Hey everyone, welcome back to Finance Friday. It's another special edition of Money Girl where I answer your burning money questions. Today's topic comes from Mercy, who says, I'm trying to rebuild my credit and recently completed your Build Better Credit online course. If my credit card is locked, I wonder if I should pay a small fee to unlock it or get a secured credit card. Or should I do both and stay below a 20% credit utilization to build my credit scores the fastest? Thanks so much for your question and for being a Build Better Credit student, Mercy. As you learned in the course, there are many legitimate strategies for boosting your credit scores quickly. This podcast will answer your question and review which card type builds credit the fastest. Thank you so much for downloading episode 909 of the Money Girl podcast. I'm Laura Adams, an award-winning author, money speaker, spokesperson, and founder of The Money Stack. That's my Substack newsletter. You can learn more and connect with me at lauradadams.com. That's also where you can email your money question, learn more about my books and courses, and sign up for The Money Stack. You can also record a brief question or comment if you want to call our voicemail. It's 302-364-0308. I look forward to hearing from you. So Mercy's got a great question, and if you've been following this podcast or me for any time, you definitely know the benefits of building and maintaining good credit. The bottom line is that the higher your credit scores, the less you pay for debt, like credit cards, car loans, mortgages, personal loans, just about any type of debt. In addition, having poor credit means you're going to pay more for a lot of things like security deposits on various utility accounts and specific types of insurance like auto and homeowners in most states. You could get turned down by a prospective employer or even a landlord. Or you may not qualify for certain government benefits based on having poor credit. So I'm really glad that Mercy is prioritizing her credit. She didn't mention why there's a lock on her credit card. That's a security feature that temporarily prevents new transactions on your card so that any unauthorized charges are blocked. Mercy could have frozen her credit card after being the victim of identity theft, or she could have done it to help her stick to a budget. But the only way to build credit is by having credit accounts in your name and using them responsibly. So if Mercy unlocks her frozen credit card, that could be a terrific tool to boost her credit scores quickly. The best strategy for using cards responsibly is to make occasional or, frequent charges that you pay off in full monthly. When you do that, if you pay off your entire balance, you get to build a really nice positive credit history without paying any interest. Timely payments, even if you just make the minimum payments, they help you build a history of positive transactions. But remember that you never have to carry any debt or pay any interest on a credit card to build excellent credit. You could pay it off in full and you're going to get just as much credit goodness out of that card, than if you only made a minimum payment. However, as Mercy mentioned, limiting your credit utilization, that's your balance compared to your card's credit limit. Limiting that to 20% is wise for optimal credit. Keeping that relatively low utilization ratio indicates that you're not using too much credit or in danger of missing a payment. It just shows that you're using a card's credit limit responsibly. But if Mercy locked her credit card to prevent her impulse spending, she's really got to be realistic about the potential downside of unlocking a card and starting to use it. If she's regularly tempted to overspend on a credit card, it could hurt her finances instead of helping them over the long run. So in that case, if she really feels like she shouldn't be using a credit card or feels too tempted to overspend, in that case, using a secured card could be a better option, and we'll cover that next. So what is a secured card? If you've never heard of these, they're similar to a regular unsecured credit card because they look the same. They can be used at the same stores, whether you're in person or online. They require at least a minimum monthly payment. They charge interest on any unpaid balances that you carry from month to month. They may charge an annual fee, and they offer various benefits like travel insurance and fraud protection. Although, I will say most secured cards are not going to offer the type of benefits that you get with a regular rewards credit card that typically charges, an annual fee. And then in return for that, you're getting a nice suite of benefits. The primary difference between a secured credit card and an unsecured card is that once you're approved, you must pay a refundable deposit to use a secured credit card. Now, some don't even check your credit, but will just automatically give you a credit limit based on your deposit. A secured card issuer will hold your deposit as collateral in case you don't make a minimum monthly payment. And if there is an annual fee, that may be taken out of your deposit. And the balance gets returned to you if you end up closing the account or eventually transition to one of the issuer's regular credit cards. And I'll talk more about that. The minimum required deposit on a secured card will depend on the issuer. They're all a little different. Some may only ask for $50, but others may require several hundred. Sometimes you can pay a deposit in installments over a period, like over 90 days before your card is issued. For instance, let's say your deposit is $300 on a secured card. Your monthly charges can never exceed that amount. So that deposit becomes your credit limit. So I will say if you plan to use a secured card or you need it for larger purchases, then you need to make a bigger down payment. If you want to increase your initial credit line, most secured cards will allow you to make at least one additional deposit. And the maximum deposit is going to vary by company or by issuer, but it could range anywhere from like $3,000 maybe up to $5,000. So you might be wondering, well, how does a secured credit card actually help you build credit? Well, even though you spend your own money using a secured credit card, some, but not all of them, report your payment information to the nationwide credit bureaus. Therefore, if your goal is to build good credit, like Mercy's goal, only apply for the best secured cards, which are those that send data to one or more of the credit agencies like Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Even just sending information to one of them is good. That will help you. A history of making timely payments, even just minimum payments, is really powerful for building your credit. So that is your secret weapon. Don't waste your time with a secured credit card that doesn't report the information to the credit bureaus. Otherwise, it's not going to help you. And Mercy mentioned credit utilization. This is another important factor in your credit score calculation. The guideline to stay below 20% also applies to secured cards. Therefore, with a $300 limit, you could only charge $60 and, stay below that 20% limit. That's per monthly billing cycle. Again, you want to pay a higher card deposit if you want to charge more on a secured credit card. The lower your credit utilization, the better, especially when you're building or rebuilding your credit. If you use a secured card strategically by making timely payments and keeping a low utilization, you could see a significant increase in your credit scores in approximately 6 months. So that could be a lifeline back to good credit after mismanaging credit or experiencing a financial hardship. You can search for secured cards online and compare offers. Remember that if you pay off a card balance each month, its interest rate really isn't that important. You're not going to pay the interest if you're paying the card off in full each month. Other benefits like having no annual fees and, again, reporting your information to the credit bureaus are the types of benefits that you want to look for in a good secured card. If you can't get approved for a secured card that reports credit data, look for an issuer that will convert secured accounts to regular unsecured cards after you demonstrate responsible use after a period, such as after 6 or 12 months. A secured card, it's like riding a bike with training wheels. It's a great way to start, but typically not the best long-term solution. If you're a responsible card holder, you want to aim to get a regular unsecured card as quickly as possible. That's going to give you the most benefits and allows you to build the most substantial credit history. So, Mercy, which card is best for you really depends on your situation. If you feel like you're responsible enough to use your unsecured card and you want to go ahead and unlock it and using it responsibly, that's going to give you, a really great way to build credit quickly. But if you don't feel confident about that, applying for the right secured credit card that will report your information to the credit bureaus is, also a great way to build credit. So, and if you wanted to do both at the same time, that's also going to be beneficial for your credit. So I hope that's been helpful for you and everyone else who's building credit from scratch. A lot of young people really haven't had a lot of time to build credit. So using credit cards or secured cards wisely is kind of a secret weapon for kickstarting your credit. And again, that's the case whether you're brand new or you're rebuilding your credit after maybe not handling credit wisely or having some kind of hardship where you couldn't pay your bills and your credit plummeted because of that. So this is a great way back. Mercy, thank you so much again for being a Build Better Credit student and asking the question. That's all for now. I'll talk to you soon. Until then, here's to living a richer life. Money Girl is a quick and dirty tips podcast, and we've got a terrific team. I want to thank Steve Rickyberg, audio engineers the show. Brandon Gachus is our director of podcasts. Holly Hutchins is our digital operations specialist. Morgan Christensen is our advertising operations specialist. Davina Tomlin is our marketing and publicity associate. And Nathaniel Hoops is our marketing contractor.